I'm going to be showing you exactly what I did to sell over $161,000 worth of information in just 90 days with zero ads, all 100% organic from YouTube alone for one of my clients, right? Entire breakdown, how I did it. But first, why should you even listen to me, right? Like, what experience do I have in online business or in info in general, right? So first of all, a little bit about me. I started day trading at 15. Of course, I was broke. So like I threw in a little bit about, a little bit of bread into an account and called it trading. And I actually got this portfolio up to a few $1,000s before yellowing it all and losing it. And that led me to a path of starting ecom online, which I was still broke. As you see, I was just a high school baseball player, played in travel baseball, and got into ecom, normal dude, right? Age 19 which is a pretty big gap. I was trying TikTok drop shipping, organic drop shipping. I was trying TikTok paid, normal Facebook ads, everything like that. And I probably started like 5 different stores, 6, 7 different stores. And I actually got some sales on some of them. A lot of the sales were like, family members or people supporting me because I was like a young entrepreneur. But I actually did get some sales through ads that happened to not be profitable. But eventually I went down a route where I did Etsy drop shipping, right? And I ended up spending $0 on ads. And this was a few months into the process, but this was the first time where I ever made over $10,000 revenue in a month, which I think it was like right below 12,652 or whatever. And that was when I was 19, which is actually whenever I got into college. And from there, I one day decided to send a message in a Discord group for social media marketing agency owners, because I actually had a marketing agency as well at the time. I've had a marketing agency since I was like probably 17, but it was never like my primary source of income, if that makes sense. I just always had it and had some clients, but I did not charge enough, simply, right? So it was just getting experience. But at age 20, I sent this Discord message showing my results, literally this exact screenshot probably, in a Discord group, and ended up getting a few people reaching out, asking how I did it. And I ended up teaching them one-on-one. And it was the first day I ever profited over $1,000 in a day. So I realized very quickly how powerful info could be, right? So I ended up getting these people results, just going all in on the one-on-one and creating a school group when school was like OG, pretty new. And at age 20, while I was coaching in info, selling course and upselling one-on-one mentorship, while I was 20 years old, I hit my first 30K month while I was actually playing Power 5 baseball in college, right? So here's, one of those screenshots back when I was coaching. And at that moment, I had a realization, right? And that was the power of a personal brand alongside the actual info education niche, right? Because at the time, I'm just a college baseball player, and I ended up doing some, big podcasts and growing this coaching business. And really none of my teammates even really knew about it until this podcast dropped. And then like some people figured out. But that led me to a point where I knew that I didn't know everything, right? Like I knew I needed to learn more and invest into myself as well as the actual business, right? So I ended up spending over $50,000 for, months of coaching on systems. I got done for you systems so that I could see how some of the, top info guys in the space did it, how agencies fulfill, and, took courses on social media. And I went through the process of being a customer and a coach myself, right? And what I saw was the fulfillment for systems was truthfully brutal, right? Like these coaches were paying agencies. By these coaches, I mean me, all right? So I paid, for example, $15,000 for one system. It was actually $17,500 because it's $7,500 for a CRM, which ended up being a simple CRM and go high level, nothing customized. And the other 10,000 was to run ads, and like they didn't even show me my data. It was kind of insane. But what that made me realize is the potential in selling something and learning something like the systems and scaling a business. And that really became my passion once I started to dive into it. So I was already in coaches. I was already a coach. So I just started helping other coaches from there, right? So I ended up becoming a growth operator around 21. And that's literally like the only difference was I just started taking rev shares with clients because I was already starting to do some like build and release done for you systems, and eventually started getting some results. I took a client from 0 to 5K a month. I took a client from 3K to 10K a month. And slowly the testimonials started getting better and better. The results started getting better and better. I started learning more about what systems are actually needed to run and grow an information business. And I ended up taking a client from 3K to 76K revenue, but he only did 27K cash collected. They were all on like payment plans pretty much. It was kind of crazy, which surprisingly, this was in like the service niche, right? But there's actually every single one of these coaches, by the way, are in different niches. Like I coached in ecom. I've helped ecom coaches, traders, service businesses, fitness coaches. So this applies to any info niche, right? But as you can see, people were getting results, and eventually I had my like outlier client that people talk about, right? Where it's like, you only need one client to really change your life. And I was already making good money as a college student, obviously. And it was around this time where I ended up dropping out. It was actually like when I first started getting results for build and release before growth operating. I dropped out of college, went all in. Shortly after that, became growth operator. And 6 to 8 months of being a growth operator, that first outlier came in hot, right? And it didn't seem like anything crazy at first. He actually reached out to me through the exact same strategy I'm about to be talking about soon and show you step-by-step simple breakdown. It's like extremely transparent and easy to follow. But in month 1, we went from $0 to over $12,000 cash collected with one YouTube video, right? Month 2, we posted a second YouTube video. Cash collected over $32,000. And on month 3, we had a huge growth spurt, which I mean, technically we tripled and then tripled again, like roughly, you know what I mean? But 117K revenue, over 100K cash collected, and it was all 100% organic traffic for over $161,000 in just 90 days with zero ad spend. And I'm going to show you exactly how we did it, which starts off with actually getting organic leads and then having a good system to actually, 1, get views, 2, turn views into leads, and 3, turn leads into actual customers, right? So full transparency, this is exactly what I did, right? So first of all, step 1, like you got to post content, okay? But what type of content gets views and actually gets customers, okay? I actually honestly have, I want to say I doubled down and tested this for myself, okay? Because I did this with other coaches that implement this properly get great results. And I started doing it myself. It worked very well. I switched up, went a different route to test, and it didn't work as well, right? So I'm back to it, right? And this is the exact strategy, and that's YouTube plus Miro, okay? I get it. Like, maybe you're trying to think of some like magic sauce. Like, this is it. I promise you, your views might not go insane, which whenever you get an outlier client, it's when you drop a Miro video on something like YouTube where there's such a high chance that the person watching a full video can actually convert into a customer compared to like TikTok, right? There is no better combination to generate revenue than YouTube and Miro. And if you really look at some of the top guys, that by top guys, I mean some of the guys with the most momentum in early stages, right? Because sometimes strategy changes once you get to a certain scale, right? Like if you're Brez and you're getting like millions of views or something, like, yeah, now you just like post different, makes a second channel, whatever. But if you are working with a coach that is like a micro coach, right? Or like having to make niche content because that's what converts early on, YouTube, Miro, there's no better combination. Okay. This builds trust, and you want to spend time building out a real Miro board and giving real value, right? Also, whenever you're giving a presentation on something like Miro, you're on something like YouTube, like you maintain frame. Okay. Like if you go, and I made this mistake myself, but if you go make videos where it doesn't really resonate with your current audience, and maybe your audience watches you because of the value you give them, and then you make some videos where they're not as like, they're not valuable, they're more for entertainment, then you're going to quickly see your revenue change, like very quickly. Okay. But it might take you a moment to realize. So actually showing proof, results, talking about client wins, talking about your history of like how you got to where you get, people resonating with the coach, with your info offer, or if you're a growth operator, you know, resonating with other coaches. And then a huge point that's extremely simple, right? But I even had a growth operator get on a single call with me, and he was extremely new to it, got his first client and did a launch. His systems were brutal, right? Like I'm about to go over the exact systems you should have implemented and exactly what I used for this offer to get it to 100K a month. This offer still does over 100K a month today. 1 month it touched over 200K a month, but the systems are different now. Okay, but they're similar. They're the same, but they're different. You know what I mean? But CTAs in the video are extremely important, and also when you have a CTA. Okay, so for example, this growth operator reaches out. He's in a very weird niche with a very unaware audience. If you are in something like e-commerce or trading, you almost don't even need to put a CTA in your video, because like people are going to go check the description to see if you offer like coaching or have a course, right? Like they just know better. You still want a CTA, but usually it's like end of video guys who watch it end up getting the CTA. But if you're in a niche that is not a business opportunity and you're not teaching people to make money, it's better to have a CTA a little bit earlier in the video. For example, like 5 minutes in, you give a CTA like, hey, by the way, there's my chess course in the description below, right? So this growth operator reaches out. His systems were brutal, but it's almost irrelevant until you have proper lead flow, right? It's not like you need to build a team with no lead flow. So the first thing you need to fix, because the guy was already getting views, which you're getting views should be from YouTube and Miro if you want to convert, right? But was making the viewers even aware of an offer and having them become a lead. So putting a CTA in the video, literally on launch, they only did $500, like literally nothing, right? They got one $500 sale. The next 3 days, so that was the first 7 days. The next 3 days after they implemented a CTA in the video, they cash collected over $7,000 in 3 days, right? Which is still $7,000 in 3 days. Like it's good, but it's not like insane, but it's also, what is that? Like 8x their initial like launch revenue, right? In the next 3 days. So that's how you turn a viewer into a lead, right? Once they're actually a lead, they click the link. They, actually are aware that you have an offer before they become a lead. You make them aware, they click the link, which happens to be in the description of the YouTube video. And again, full transparency, the system I'm about to go over, I do not use anymore. I've literally canceled every single one of the softwares that I'm about to mention and every single tool on this list, because today the operating system that I use, my operating system, literally replaces all of it. And it allows you to build out all of these systems in minutes rather than the 20 hours it would take me to build it for every single one of my coaches. And you're also going to have over a dozen AI agents like running tasks inside of the business, able to send DMs, have an AI DM setter, track your DM metrics, adding team members to the dashboard, everything like that. But this full transparency is what I ran at the time of growing from zero in 90 days to cash collecting over $161,000 for this specific offer, right? So this is the stack that I use, which it's the same functionality as what I use now, to be clear. It just, what I use now takes much less time and it leverages AI much harder, right? So first of all, they click the link in the description and they're being sent to a raw VSL. What do I mean by raw VSL? I use ClickFunnels for a landing page, and literally the landing page, guys, like when you are getting traffic through a video like this, for example, where it's a YouTube video on a Miro board of a breakdown, why are you going to send someone to a landing page with another like 15-minute VSL breaking down what you do? Like by the end of this video, you're going to know exactly what I do. You know what I mean? So I don't have to tell you again if you go click the link in the description. Okay. So either have no VSL, which we did for a very long time, and then we implemented a very raw VSL and saw almost like no different in actual metrics. He just ended up getting more views, so he made more money, right? But if you do put a VSL, like a couple minutes max, 2-3 minutes, like just be raw, authentic, give clear transparency on what the offer is, depending on the niche. Again, some niches like don't really need that, like e-com. Like it's okay, you're gonna help me build a dropshipping store and scale the e-com product. I get it. Like everything's in the program, you know? So say they watch the VSL or like take a look at the landing page. It should pretty much just be an application form, okay? And a lot of the time now, all we use is an application form from YouTube because again, these videos are basically your VSL, right? So you send people straight to an application form, which at the time I was using Typeform. Again, I do not use Typeform or ClickFunnels or any of these softwares anymore. And what we would do is we would lead score the leads, right? Which is based on the application, based on the way they answer the questions, how likely are they to spend X amount of money with your business? You know, like, are they willing to spend more than 5,000 or is it going to be less? You know what I mean? And then you give them a score and basically rank how good of a lead it is. Based on that score they get, we're either sending them to a low ticket redirect on WAP, where like if they're like, yeah, dude, I have like less than $500, we're not going to sit here and get on a sales call. Now we did implement eventually, like when we were hiring more closers, we'd call it the trenches, right? We'd put them in the trenches and that's where they would go get their training. Is we'd actually put them on these calls, which is like low-key kind of fucked, to be honest with you. But it's true. We'd put them on these calls. They would get a ton of volume. Like they'd have 10 sales calls, 15 sales calls a day each. And we'd be able to see who was actually performing. And they did make more money for the business being on sales calls rather than just sending them to like a VSL low ticket page. Because they're actually being pitched and like, you know, you're just going to have a higher close rate as long as your show rate's decent. Having somebody on a call and answering their questions. So they did make the business more money, but it wasn't necessarily like enough to be worth it to make it like a priority initially, right? So having this low ticket redirect in the beginning to save time, especially with a leaner team, was super important. From there, if again, they're not qualified and they go into the low ticket, they're getting nurtured, whether they buy or not, we already have them getting hit up by, you know, setters, nurturing sequences, automations, and they're getting put into the CRM, which at the time was Go High Level. And we still nurture those guys, still follow up with them, re-engage them, and try to book a call with them after, you know, learning a bit more about them, seeing how they do inside like the community, or if they don't end up purchasing. One thing you do have to be aware of is sometimes guys just lie on their application in both directions. Like they'll say they have money and they don't, which is like obviously pretty annoying. But there'll be guys that like don't want to get pitched a higher package because they think the price will change if they have more to invest. So then they say they have no money, right? So we would end up re-engaging those guys, you know, getting a setter to message them, and they're like, oh yeah, you know, like we learn a little bit more, and like next thing you know, like they actually have like a pretty good job, like they're in like tech or something, and we're like, okay, this guy lied on his application, let's get him on a sales call, right? So if they were qualified, they just go straight to the Calendly link, and we'd have our top closer, our most experienced closer, take those calls. Which at the beginning, that was me as the growth operator. I was taking all of the sales calls because initially the coach, obviously, when he brought me on, like there was no team, the offer was terrible. There was nothing in place. And I took the sales calls off of his hands. He took some of the lower ticket sales calls to find like common objections. We can just talk about it. But like that was like month one, right? And then we quickly brought on a setter closer, and they started taking care of that. I think I still took some of the sales calls that were like highly qualified, that were basically like, I just want a payment link. Like I will pay $5,000 right now, please. You know what I mean? I would take those sales calls. So from the book a call, like I said, sales team, setter, closer, me taking calls. And for all these to be integrated, you did have to use a tool, which I used Zapier to integrate and make all of these work together. And then from there, once you either close a client or you don't, everything was being tracked inside of just a simple Google Sheets, which again, like I do not do this anymore. Everything's on an actual operating system, custom dashboard, fully automatic tracking, helps with like your entire sales team, all the data from how many DMs you're getting, how many views your funnel is getting, how many people are submitting applications, your fall off rate, everything all in one spot. And they all communicate together using AI agents, right? So really cool, extremely helpful, and most importantly, saves a ton of time, which I value more than the money, right? And it happens to be better for the revenue anyways. But Google Sheet, all I had on it was show rate, close rate, revenue from the call, cash collected, who took the call, and then notes, right? And then also a follow-up date is something that I didn't put on this if they were on like installments, right? Like their payment plan. For show rate and close rate, it was just a simple yes, no check mark that would automatically track the percentage. And then from here, like you just want to double down on what works, right? And you don't have to test what works, because like I'm telling you right now, YouTube plus Miro is better than any combination for 99% of niches, scenarios that you could be in, maybe 100%, right? Like this is just simply the best combination when you look at the guys that perform and actually generate revenue. And maybe they rotate it after they get to a certain point. But again, like especially making niche content, starting out, if you're a growth operator, if you are an agency working with coaches, if you're a coach, like if you're selling information, if you're in the education space, if you're selling info, this is going to be the combination that may not get you like the most views, but it's going to give you the most value for your time in terms of your views actually becoming customers. And obviously the video still has to be decent to get views. But what happens when offers just go like absolutely ballistic is they have a video, and this can happen on Instagram as well. They have a video that is built for bottom funnel, right? Like it's built bottom funnel. It's meant to convert like the most aware people in a way, like people that are already like close to buying. It's like that conversion video, but it ends up going viral, right? Like it ends up getting a bunch of views. I've seen this on YouTube. It happened with this specific coach that I'm actually referring to his offer that we scaled in this video. He made more of like a how I did X and made Y, you know what I mean? Like that type of video. And then it got 50K plus views on YouTube. And when you do that, you're probably going to make six figures. Like no guarantees, no promises, but there's just a very high likelihood that you're bringing in a good amount of money if you make a YouTube Miro video and it gets a good amount of views, right? Like it's hard not to. So you're probably wondering like, if the offer did great, like why did you change how, you work with all your different clients? And again, full transparency, I actually, when I was a newer growth operator was when I had the most clients. I actually had 12 clients at once. And as this coach went parabolic, I chopped off like a lot of the clients and just focused on the bigger ones, which is, in the space, a lot of people are kind of miscommunicating the fact that you should like stop outreach, as well as myself. I definitely like have said that before, where referrals, focusing on the coaches that you do have is a very good thing. But I'm now a very big believer that you should never stop outreach, whether it's just networking and building a pipeline or just constantly bringing on more clients. or adjusting your offer in a way to where, okay, if you have 3 rev shares and that's where you want to cap it, then start doing build and release, right? Like I'm a huge believer in that. And the operating system that I use now, it makes it all possible, right? So if you want my operating system, what I use, you want to see how it works. I'm going to go over who I help and how to work with me real quick. In the actual stack that I showed you is over 6 tools, 6+ subscriptions. There's all like duct taped together using Zapier, and I actually canceled all of them, right? And it's been probably 6 months since I've canceled every single subscription that I own besides my like operating system, right? And that was over $1,500 a month that I was spending in top line on software that would take me 20 hours a week to actually build for every single person that I'd be working with. And obviously, like you have to maintain it and continue working on it. And it was all replaced by one operating system, right? So how I operate now, again, I work one clean tracking dashboard, one place for everything. There's over 12 AI agents that are working on the business constantly. Like an IG DM setter that you can turn on and off if your setter goes to sleep, or a lot of the time, like if you're doing 8K a month as a coach, or you're a growth operator and you're launching a new offer, like you're not going to be able to bring on a setter. And if you are, he's not going to be very good because you're not making enough money for them to want to work with you. So having an AI setter is extremely high leverage if you care about your time or your coach cares about his time, right? All the funnels, the CRM, SMS, booking, and inbox tracking, and the agents constantly reviewing every single step of the business, giving feedback, daily reports, all your tracking automated. That's what I have now, right? And it literally sets up everything from block 2 in minutes, not months, right? Not weeks, not 20+ hours, not constant reviewing. Or if you want to build a new funnel, like boom, there's another 20+ hours that you got to go work, set up separate automations, pipelines, new testing, new products. No, it's a click of a button. In 3 minutes, you're good to go, right? So this operating system and who I help is specifically info offers. So, like coaches, growth operators, agency owners that help coaches scale, courses, mentorship, consulting. And if you want this inside of your business, then there's a simple link in the description. It's an application to work with me. It's going to ask you like what you are in terms of like what business do you run and how are you doing? Like how well are your metrics performing? Where do you feel like you can improve? Do not fill out the application because obviously the application leads to a call. Don't fill out the application if you're not looking to actually implement this in your business. Obviously, it costs money, right? I hope you guys got a ton of value from this video. This is literally just a transparent, straightforward, exactly what I did. My journey leading up to it, pretty much like my whole background, my whole like life story in terms of entrepreneurship. And guys, like this was the system, and now it's easier than ever. Now it takes a few minutes, and since it takes a few minutes, you need to be less educated to get the same results. Like that's huge, right? So if you have any questions, I'll put my Instagram in the description as well. Feel free to DM me. I'm a pretty nice guy. I'll probably get back to you. Other than that, hope you guys enjoyed it. Got value. Peace.